All right, so we're going to talk about the grouping feature that's built into the grids. So if you make any of your stuff, you see here, there's a panel card grid and grid model, which looks like this in its output. There is a little thing that says groupable. If you click that, then the grouping options will be there for anybody interacting with the application. So this isn't just in developer that you can drag a column header here. That would be just all users in general. And that happened on the old dashboards as well. I'm not sure if everybody used them, but they were options. So it's going to look like this. Once you click that groupable option, you do need to click the header so that it says drag column header and drop into the group. So that'll open up your group option. And once you pull in any of these header names, it's going to group by that. So you can see your little carrots here. Now you have your departments, and you can just remove it, but with a little X, and close up that filter if you would like. So that's one of your options. If you just want simple grouping, that's a good one. Let's talk about grouping with a combo box. So this one's a little bit more advanced and involved, but you link a combo box to your grid. Right here, we're linking it to this grid here, and you add a button. And then when you change your group by, you can pull up all the elements that are in that group. So you can see as I choose different ones, the assembly department will only show for these line items. And it'll work the way I set it up. It'll work as you change the employee name as well. See department here. So it's a good way to group stuff so that only that group shows up. All right, so let me show you how I did that. Okay, so to group with a combo box, first you're going to need a combo box. So you're going to drag that into your Application Studio panel or grid or whatever container element you want to put it into. You're going to name it. And then down here, you're going to want to put your epi binding for what view it's going to be connected to. Okay, and then if you go lower on this, on the properties of the combo box, you'll get down to advanced. And under data mode, you can put list. You can attach it to a BAQ query, which will have your available options. So these are going to be specifically what's showing up in that combo box. So when you click this little arrow, what options are there? This I made a distinct list in a BAQ, and I named it this JC department, and it has not only the department value, so I can link it to my data, but also I pulled in the description, and that's what's going to be shown in the combo box dropdown. Okay, and then next you can add a button. So there's two components, the combo box and a button. For the button, we're going to name it, and then we're going to have our behavior on click. We're going to do the overflow to create an event for that. So that event will be here. We're going to do an event next for that one. And the event next that we're going to choose is whatever is loading that BAQ that was at the bottom. So every time it changes down at the bottom, whatever BAQ is loading, that is going to be the one that you choose. So this one is just called new event. You can see here that it's loading my BAQ, my child BAQ, test no param. And then under the BAQ execute options for this event, in the where clause, you're going to add in this transview.department, which is our transview field that we linked that combo box to. So whatever is selected is going to be input into that field, and it's going to filter this BAQ. So that's the way we add the combo box filter into that BAQ execution. So it's equal this. So JC department equals that. All right, and so now we're going to talk about sorting. So you can sort using the headers. So let's watch that. So right now you can click just on the headers of any grid here, and it'll sort ascending or descending depending on where the arrow is. So you can click it once, and it'll do ascending, and then it'll do descending. And you can see that here. We'll do it one more time so you can see it. So any grid you're in, and this is really all of Application Studio. So if you're on any form, this is available, but it's a great way to kind of be like, oh, what was my longest running segment, my most expensive sales order, that kind of stuff. So just for quick filtering, quick sorting, it can be really great. If you want more permanent sorting, I'd say probably the BAQ or through the execute options of the BAQ. So you can either put it on the BAQ itself before you ever pull it into Application Studio, or you can put it in the order by. So if you see here, we have order by labor detail payroll date. So right now, this will do the default of ascending, which as it goes down, it'll get bigger, or more recent with the order by right here. And there's also below this is actually group by, and you can put a field in that as well to group. Trackers. Okay, so trackers, let me play this video so you can see what trackers are. Trackers are going to be these fields that are single fields with a single value that you put together, and they change as you select data. So right now I picked a date. You can see that it's showing you the date here. I picked an employee. You can see the name and the ID here. And as I change it, you can see them changing here. And then all this information over here comes from labor detail. So you can put multiple different views and grids on a single tracker. It really is the field that's connected to the data. So you can see here. I made all of these read-only, and in the next slide, I think we're going to talk about why you have to be careful with trackers. So first I want to say with the trackers, there are so many options that you can put into trackers, and in terms of their layout, in terms of what components you can put in, lots of different stuff. We already went over this, so look at the Epicor Application Studio video series with panel card layout and components. That one's really going to help you pick which components you want to put in a tracker. You want to add those components into panel card grids or group boxes, and you have to add them into, you can't just add a text box, and you need to add a panel card or a group box. And then inside that, you can add columns or containers to then further kind of create those columns, those rows, just an organization that looks better. But if you go to panel card layout and components, we really go deep into that. But yeah, so the elements you can add are text box, radio buttons, check boxes, currency boxes, there's so many options. For the trackers, if we're talking text box, you want to put your you want to link your data for what you want to represent, like what component you want to represent. So you want to put that right here in this EP binding. I always still call it epi binding. It used to be called epi binding. Changing it to ep binding is just annoying. And then here's where you can make it read only or not. Now, I would recommend making it read only unless you are doing a UBAQ, an update, or some other specific event. And I'll show you why, because it gets really confusing for users. So when a tracker is not a read only and it is linked to data, not to a trans view, which is like just put whatever you want into this trans view and then use that wherever, and it, you know, there's only one row, so you can change that information as you want, which could work as a search. But this one is not currently. This tracker box, this text box, is currently linked to this BAQ output. And you can see if I left it as not read-only, but instead enterable, you can watch how I can change that data, but it's actually not going to change the data in the entire data, server. It's only going to change that data locally. So it's only going to change that data within your application, because we have no update operation that's going to actually update the data set. And we have no UBAQ that's going to do that function that's going to actually update the data set. So it's really just only locally, and that's going to be really confusing. So let me show you how that happens. So right now, 101 is Jack Sawyer. Let's change that to 100 and press tab. Now Jack Sawyer and James B. Carlisle appear to be 100, but when we then run this, because this is 100, it's only going to bring up employee 100, which is actually only James in the larger data set. Yet these two are still 100. So all it's doing is changing the local data for this specific BAQ, the data that we pulled into Application Studio. It's only changing that, but it's not changing this data view because that's a different data view. So this is a different BAQ. So right now, we don't have any information for 101. Oh, there we go. Now we pulled it up. So when you change it back, then Jack Sawyer will show. And see, if I change Juno, then we click on that, but James shows up. So it can be really confusing. Be careful when you make them not readable, is my point. You can make it a search field if you link it to a trans view, which I said here. Just make sure that you're not pulling from an actual BAQ or an actual data set, because you're gonna confuse your own data within your local data. And definitely be careful if there's an update, because then you can actually change data. So on some there's like canned forms that you can actually accidentally update. So just be careful with those.